Welcome to SDH's coverage of Chattanooga FC and their move to MLS NEXT PRO. Over the next little bit, the press conference that preceded all of the pomp and circumstance and partying, we caught up with some of the particulars and some of the principals that were on the dais to announce the move to MLS NEXT PRO starting in the 2024 season, not really wasting any time about it. So we're not going to waste any time. Let's start things off with one of the men in charge at MLS NEXT PRO, President and EVP Charles Altchek, who was at the presentation at the Westin downtown in Chattanooga to welcome Chattanooga FC to the league.
All right, pictures have been taken, scarves have been worn. It's officially official. You get to add another franchise to MLS NEXT PRO. How's it feel?
It's great. You know, a lot of work has gone into making today a reality, and now the real work starts. So, working with Alton and with Davis, with the founders, with everybody to make today possible has been a tremendous effort on all of our parts. This is a special moment for the league to get to now be part of Chattanooga FC's history. So we're looking forward to the next number of months as we prepare for the 2024 season, building the schedule, building out their commercial plan as they're hiring folks. There's so much that's going to happen between now and March of 24. But today's a day that we'll celebrate and look back on fondly.
And now you're getting, once again, another piece of the puzzle from ownership that is independent of MLS franchises. You're bringing those folks under the tent now, too, with this.
Yeah, this club has a unique aspect to it with the thousands of folks who became owners some years ago. But that was a really important moment for this club with folks from all 50 states, from all over the world, and Davis Grizzard was part of that group, and that's what brought him into the fold, and he was able to express his love for the club through his newfound ownership, and then over the last number of years he realized he wanted to play a bigger role than just being part of that group. Here we are today with Davis having really stepped up to support the club that he loves and make this a possibility, and I give him a lot of credit because it's not easy, to be owning a soccer team anywhere in the world. And he's been great to work with. He's got a long-term vision for this club, which aligns with exactly how we want to build out MLS NEXT PRO over the next number of years. And having independent teams competing against our affiliated teams is a really important part of what we're doing. And that's where Chattanooga FC fits in. Carolina Core that's coming in next year with Chattanooga in High Point, North Carolina, and then we announced Jacksonville last couple weeks ago, Cleveland at the end of last year, and we've got more projects that we're working on around the country, so it's an exciting time for our league.
And you're getting that regionalization aspect too, which is a budgetary component that folks can keep an eye on as well, where they're not having to go from here to Neptune for a home game, basically.
Yeah, look, from just an efficiency perspective, one of the things that we focus on in all professional sports is just travel. This is a big country. Our teams in MLS and in MLS NEXT PRO travel more than most top teams in Europe by a long shot, by multiples. And so that's something that we're always thinking about. But it's not just about budgetary efficiencies, it's also about building regional rivalries. And Chattanooga FC is in the center of a nexus of future competitors, and it's really going to be exciting to see how those rivalries develop, whether it's with Huntsville, with Atlanta, with Carolina Core, with Crown Legacy. I mean, it's a really special time to be a soccer fan here in this region.
I was going to say, the Southeast is continuing to grow and be an element of this where, probably a dozen years ago, folks are sitting there trying, soccer in the Southeast, what? ? But now you're getting all of these different components attached to the Southeast, and the Southeast is that growth market that you're getting to see now.
Yeah, and I think, for us in Major League Soccer, and, it was not obvious to us. Back in the day, I started at the league before Atlanta United joined the league, and so, we were all part of that story in terms of watching Atlanta United come in and really blow the roof off for what our expectations were and maybe even what their expectations were. And so now you have them and all the other teams that I just mentioned earlier really driving the narrative in many ways and showing us all what soccer can mean in this country now and going forward. So this is just another piece of that puzzle, but Chattanooga FC brings its own unique 15-year history, playing in the lower divisions in different leagues, always competing at a high level, and I know that that's what they're going to bring to MLS NEXT PRO starting next year.
Next up, the man on the touchline who is responsible for the on-the-field success that we have seen with Chattanooga FC over the last couple of seasons. And it's a guy who's from Atlanta, so he's got ties to DeKalb County, much like yours truly. Different high schools, different high school competitions, but he knows about the growth of the sport in the South and the Southeast and what it's been like to see it grow in Chattanooga. Chattanooga FC head coach Rod Underwood.
It's officially official. You got to see what's going on. And I'm going to put $1 in the jar because they tell sideline reporters never to ask this question after an event. How does it feel? So how does it feel?
It feels good, man. Hey, look, I mean, it feels good because the city has worked 15 years and longer than that. I mean, it's 15 years that we know of, right? All the meetings, everything they did years ago, all that is part of this today, right? I've been here 2 years, and the work they've done is fantastic. So for them to be rewarded and the city to be rewarded, that's awesome.
And as you and I is talking as folks that grew up in Atlanta, we know how the growth has been. What's it like for this next step in the Southeast for soccer to continue to add these steps that probably 10 years ago folks would think about South? Nah. Soccer? Nah. But it's showing up again.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was on that bandwagon of soccer's not making it in Atlanta. I was on that bandwagon. And I see it, and I saw it, and I see it, and I've been down to the stadium, watched the games, and it's just like, it's here. It's really here. And really, to see it and now to be in Chattanooga, is really a big deal because, again, this is football. This is American football town. Tennessee, Alabama's right down the road, UGA's right down the road, University, you can go on and on, University of Tennessee, but we're making inroads, and we're making positive inroads, and this is just another way to be part of that wonderful ecosystem in America, really, of sports.
So, all right, this is the off season, which really isn't an off season.
No.
Now that you're going into MLS Next Pro, what do you view as your challenges going in? Because you got to hit the ground running because 24 is coming before anybody knows it.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the other day. I mean, for us, we're looking at a couple months before we get the guys back in, right? So there's not a lot of time. But to be fair, we've done our homework, right? And, obviously the announcement day will give us a big lift of players coming out of the woodwork, agents coming out of the woodwork. But we've done our homework. I mean, we've got a good staff that really has done a lot for us, so.
Next up, someone who has worn multiple hats, and he'll get into that here in the interview coming up in just a little bit. Part of the original ownership group 15 years ago, and he's been watching Chattanooga FC grow to where it is today. You now call him Your Honor, Mayor of Chattanooga, Tim Kelly.
Hands have been shook.
Yep.
Scarves have been worn.
Right.
Scarves have been flashed. It's officially official.
Yep.
And you got to wear 2 hats today.
Yes.
I'm going to put
3, really.
I have to put $1 in the jar and ask the question that we're not supposed to ask as sideline reporters when we do live TV.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Feels fantastic. I mean, it's bittersweet in a way. I mean, it's hard to really separate. If you spend enough time in American soccer, you can't get away from the politics of it, right? And so, look, I'm really, really happy that we're able to do this and maintain our independence as a club. That was always my non-negotiable. So it's a really, really happy day. I still wish we lived in a country with promotion and relegation, and I will go to my grave. Hopefully, it happens before I wind up in my grave. But this is a huge move for the club. Move into a stable league with stable teams and great broadcast rights, and will open so many doors for the club. So it feels great as a fan, as a mayor, as an owner.
So when you look at MLS Next Pro, part of one of their attractive calling cards is in addition to the affiliations with the MLS franchises. Carolina Core comes in, independent ownership. You guys come in, independent ownership. And Jacksonville Armada comes in, independent ownership. And, hey, all 3 of them are in the Southeast. That ought to tell you something, huh?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I think we were all shocked as co-founders when the club had as much success as it had back in 2009, 2010. And, I mean, I think we were really pioneers in the space. Frankly, Huntsville came before us and was doing pretty well. I think we took it to the next level. And Darren Eales, when he was setting up Atlanta, came here and kind of looked at what we did and how we were doing things. And it's been a great story for the South in general, right? I don't think many people would have thought that the South, the southeastern United States, would kind of really be this engine for American soccer, but that's what it's become, and we're proud of it.
I can see the smile on your face.
Yeah.
It's like the South, we always sit there and we make the rub on TV. The South's got something to say. Quote a little outcast doesn't hurt anybody.
No, exactly right. I'm glad you did it before I could. But it's a fantastic thing, right? It's just been so gratifying and edifying to watch it grow and to watch it, to transplant to Nashville and take off, and Atlanta and take off. And early days, I can remember Atlanta, people thinking it's never going to work, right? It's been tried before and it's never going to work. But it's arrived, man. The sport has arrived in the United States and the South in particular, and it's a happy day.
From a mayoral infrastructure-y, schedule-y kind of perspective, What's next with this franchise and getting everything ready? Because everybody's like, oh yeah, 2024 season, yeah, it's over there, but no.
Listen, man, the first year we were in business, we stood it all up, the 8 of us, and just did it in our spare time. So I don't worry about that. I mean, Finley's ready to go. We've got to do some things with camera anchoring, and to his credit, our principal owner's putting the money in to make that happen. The city and the county are putting in a little bit of money to upgrade the lights, which we do anyway. And frankly, look, I mean, Finley Stadium, Fort Finley is never going to be it's never going to be Mercedes-Benz, but again, I come from kind of the Barcelona school. If you go to Camp Nou, I mean, it's gotten some recent upgrades, but it ain't, it's not a shiny facility. It's not about the infrastructure to me. It's about fans and the culture, and that we've got in spades. So we'll be ready. We'll be ready when the league's ready.
Then last on the board, it is the CEO who has spent some time with us at SDH the morning after, but on the afternoon of the announcement, before the pomp and circumstance and partying in Chattanooga, here is CEO Alton Byrd, who has done a lot of work in a very short period of time to get Chattanooga FC to this particular place.
Scarves have been unveiled out there for the photos. Scarves are being worn. Pictures are taken, all the videos and the speeches. And I'm going to put $1 in the jar as a sideline play-by-play guy. You're not supposed to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it. How does it feel?
It's, I was just describing it to somebody as surreal almost, because I wasn't here in 2009, and I'm sure that the people who started this club, the founders, the guys that were 8 friends, that's like, let's start this club and see where it goes. To see all of them, or most of them, here today, and to celebrate the fact that this little club that everybody was like, I'm not sure, is now part of a 60-team unique group. It's a select. There's 30 in MLS, and there's 30 in MLS NEXT PRO, and that's it. To me, it's the best, and it's the best form of gratitude to the people of Chattanooga, to the city, to the founders, to the academy that we run, that there is a way, there is a path, an opportunity to do things that people will tell you, it's never going to happen. You can do it, and it's possible. All things are possible.
And you got emotional up there on the dais because you came in here, hit the ground running, and you're hitting all these. Everybody's like, yeah, he's done 18 months worth of work ever since the moment he hit in here, and he's been here less than a year. But you got emotional up there on the dais. All of this investment to this day, there's been a lot of work going at like 78 RPMs, and I know I just dated myself doing that by saying that, but you got emotional up there.
I did, and I think part of it is because, so many people doubt what you have the capabilities of doing. So many people have said that'll never happen, and just to see standing room only folks in Chattanooga, in downtown Chattanooga, that is growing quickly, for a football club that has always been successful as an independent, and now we're going to go into the den of lions to compete. On the business side, we have a lot of work to do, but there's all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of ways to do this. So I get emotional because it's transformational for this club, for its founders, for the players, for Coach Underwood, who's a remarkable coach, for all of these folks. It's just, you get emotional because I know how much work they put in and how loyal they've been to the cause.
You mentioned the Lions Den, so where are you going to pick up your swords and your shields and get ready to dive into the pit? And what are those swords and shields going to look like diving into this thing? Because it's going to come here sooner than anybody knows.
Yeah, we've been talking about that internally. 90 days from now, players will be back. And there's no more secret. We've been sitting on this, and well, what if? And I think, Rod knows what his task is and how he needs to grow. We've been lucky. He's had some experience. We on the business side know that there's no off season anymore. Now there's the season, and then there's the on season. So we've always wanted to be a 12-month business. We are going to be a 12-month business going forward.
So that's your rundown of everything Chattanooga FC as they are welcomed into Major League Soccer, natural rivals across the board in Atlanta, in Huntsville, in Carolina, Jacksonville, all points in between in the Eastern Conference. So welcoming Chattanooga FC to MLS Next Pro. Those of us at SDH will continue our coverage as it goes forward. Thanks to everybody at CFC for letting us in on the party. For everybody here at SDH, the next steps we'll be keeping an eye on. Everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us as Chattanooga FC is now a part of MLS Next Pro.